Should you always get a home inspection when you are buying a property or selling?
Yes! 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 Yes!
Yes. Well, maybe, and maybe no.
No.
I am usually inclined to agree with Dwight, but you will see here from the UNC Learning Center that we want to be careful of those extreme modifiers. Always, never. We are sometimes getting beeps like you might have just heard there come in while we're making this video. Ignore that. And I will put the link for the UNC Chapel Hill Learning Center in the description in case you are studying for a test. Hey, maybe you're studying for your real estate exam. That'd be cool. If you need any pointers or help with that, I do have a great resource if you're thinking about becoming a realtor. So in this video, we are going to talk about a few things. If you are a buyer, when might you want to consider getting a home inspection? When might you consider foregoing an inspection? If you are a seller, why might you consider having a home inspection done before you list your home? And we are going to talk about things to expect when you have a home inspection or when you receive or are looking at a home inspection report. Don't freak out.
I'm freaking out! Don't freak out!
That truly is our number one goal here. Let's not freak out. Let's absorb the information, see what it can tell us, and make good decisions moving forward. But please don't freak out. And we'll talk about how much do home inspections generally cost? How do I find a good home inspector? Those are things that we're going to deal with in this video. Before we jump in with both feet, let me tell you with one mouth who I am. I am JD Miller. I work with that little international real estate company, EXP Realty, and I am located in Lynchburg, Virginia. I serve the Lynchburg, Virginia and surrounding area. But truth be told, if you're looking for some information and you need help, I can get you connected to someone no matter where you are. And no matter where you are, even if you're not looking in Lynchburg, Virginia, this video could be helpful for you if you're thinking of buying or selling. Now, you do want to talk to the agent that you're working with in your area for all the different special caveats as far as laws, regulations, those kinds of things. But if you do want to get a hold of me, right there is the number. Feel free to call, text, email, whatever's most convenient for you. And if you're from Phoenix and you met David recently, well, I'm sorry I missed you at Rivermont Pizza, but you have my number as well. Reach out anytime. David and I can even team up and help you together if you choose to do that. I'm looking forward to talking to you anytime. You could be thinking about moving in a month, 6 months, a year, any number of months. We can talk and at least get the ball rolling and kind of see what you're thinking about doing. First, let's talk about being a buyer. The first reason you want to consider a home inspection as a buyer is for protection.
For your own protection.
You want to protect yourself against those big, costly, high-ticket items that could go wrong. And I have said this before, things can go wrong. They do. They go wrong in my videos. They go wrong in real life. And they can go wrong a month after you buy the house, a day after you buy the house, or an hour after you sign the paperwork. And hey, you are the brand new owner, and now you have a problem. Even with a home inspection, those things could go wrong. But it is protection, it is information, and hopefully we find something that might be one of those big ticket items. Roof, HVAC, foundation, plumbing, something in there that needs to be addressed and fixed might be found during a home inspection. So number one, protection. Let me tell you a quick septic story. Everyone loves a septic story, don't they? I had a buyer purchasing a home that had a septic system for the sewage. No renters were in this home for months. The septic tank had been pumped out. So we're looking at an empty septic tank. No one has lived in this home for months. And if the sellers did the cursory septic examination, no problem would have been found. I know this because I know what happens during the cursory, just superficial septic inspection, which is required by law here in Virginia on the seller side. If the contract says the seller is doing it, there's a certain thing the seller has to do, and we would not have found a problem. My buyer, however, chose to have his inspector do a complete in-depth septic inspection, and it found that the drain field had failed.
Oh no, oh no, oh no.
We would be looking at putting in a whole new drain field, maybe redirecting distribution lines and the box. I think the cap was even broke on the box. We're talking about a $15,000 job fix. If my guy didn't do that inspection, my buyer's inspector, if my buyer said, I'm going to forgo this inspection, he would have had some problems, I'm telling you. Would not have been good. After being in there a short time, he would have found out that septic system was not working properly. So, that's protection. Real life story. I've had probably 2 or 3 other inspectors who have looked at septic systems, checked drain lines, checked sewage lines, and found the lines were cracked or damaged and not working properly. And if we don't do that, if the seller does the very cursory, superficial inspection, you're not going to find those things typically. Reason number 2 why you might want to consider inspection as a buyer: feel good.
I feel good.
Let's say you spend the money, you have the inspection done, and very minor things pop up. 1 or 2 things pop up, nothing big. And you might say, well, geez, I just spent X amount of dollars and had that done. Yes, but peace of mind. You can feel good. You did it. You know there's no big ticket items. And that is worth something. Feeling good is worth something. In Lynchburg, Virginia, the general cost of a home inspection for an average size home is going to start around $300 to $400. Now, it can go up if it is an older home or if it is a larger home. Also, the price is going to increase if you tack on extras to be tested. Water for lead, coliform bacteria, or a well for well flow rate for how quickly that well is replenishing itself. Or radon gas. If you have a test done for radon gas, you're going to pay extra for that. But that's your starting point, $300 to $400, and it can go up from there. If you're familiar with a different area of the country where you're having home inspections done and you want to drop a comment, feel free to drop a comment and tell us how much are you paying for home inspections in your area. And I should have said this before. Let me look at my notes. Yep, I missed it. If you want to like, comment, or subscribe, feel free to do that as well. You can do that no cost. And I greatly appreciate when you do take part in watching. Active listening, participation in the YouTube world. It's great. It's free. Doesn't cost anything. 1, protection. 2, feel good. Now let's talk about what you should expect when you have that home inspection done and the inspection report when you get that back. What are you looking at? First, remember, don't freak out.
Freaking out. Don't freak out.
If I had to bet, I would bet a fair amount of money that every single home inspection report is going to have something on it. Some have a lot of things, some have a few things. Some might look like it's a great big deal. Some are not that big a deal, so don't freak out. Let me just show you an example quickly here. If we take a look at this, there's 2 good-looking guys. That's D.W. Moore. This is an inspection that he did for me. This was actually a pre-listing inspection, and we're going to talk about that coming up very shortly. And you see the list of different kind of categories that we cover. You're always going to see this: maintenance items, recommendations, safety hazard. I don't know if every inspector uses these categories, but you see these like, here's just something to know, here's something to keep an eye on, and this could be a real safety issue. And we'll look at some examples in here as we just kind of scroll through this briefly. So here you're going to look at the roof. Some inspectors use a drone, some inspectors get up there on their feet and walk around on the roof. He can see some damaged shingles that happened here, see some delamination. You know, the roof is not a new roof, so that's what he found. Now, when he was inside, he didn't find any evidence of any leaks, so no water's coming through, but you want to be aware of that. The roof is an older roof. It's not a brand new roof. Here's the deck. My client was getting this deck ready. He had pulled out some older boards. He was putting in new boards, and he was going to paint them all. Here's some damage to the siding. These things happen. Lawn mowers throw stones. Things get chipped up and broken. Here's a little missing hardware on the door. Now, this no graspable handrail, that is interesting because this is going to come up also as we talk about in one moment for certain loans. Certain loans, the appraiser, when he goes out there, he or she, okay, when the appraiser goes out there, they may have something to say about the type of handrail there is, whether it's acceptable or not acceptable. So even after the inspector goes through and we talk about issues that may be found during an inspection, an appraiser could go out there and say, hold on, found something else here. What do you do after you receive the report and you look it over and you see those items and you remember, JD told me there's going to be things on here, so I'm not freaking out. What do you do? Well, you have to look at the contract where you are in your location and talk to your agent, but you might be able to just terminate the deal altogether.
Let me out.
Maybe the items are too big or too costly or too worrisome, and you just don't want to deal with it. You could walk away from the deal. Or depending on the contract, you might be required to go to the seller and say, I found these defects. Almost always, not cosmetic items, not things you want to upgrade, not things that are grandfathered in as far as the code is concerned, but defects, broken windows, a roof leak, windows don't open, something that's a defect according to what your contract says. You may be required to go to the seller and say, I want you to fix this. I want you to give me money so I can fix it, or you can do a combination of both of those. And if you can't come to terms together, buyer and seller, then you can terminate the contract and walk away. If you are financing with a loan and you have a certain loan, FHA, VA, USDA, one of the government loans that ends in an A, they are going to send an appraiser out typically, and they're going to look at that property. So they might find that handrail at the property that we just looked at, the inspection report. It's a 2x4 sitting on the top. They may say a 2x4 is not acceptable because it's not graspable. So that appraiser, even after we go through the inspection period, that appraiser might say we have to address this in order for the loan to fund. If you are using your own cold hard cash, you can do whatever you want to do.
It's my money. It's my choice.
You can just accept the property in whatever condition it's in, or you can ask for repairs or credit. Now, if you are a seller, why might you consider having a home inspection done when you are selling your home? The first consideration is it could be free.
It's free.
Yeah, free. When I list a home, that is one of the things that I do as part of my service. I pay for a free, to the seller, pre-listing home inspection. We have an inspection done just as if we were buying that house. Same criteria, same standards. We do that so we have it to present to potential buyers. You know what else is free? Likes, comments, and subscribing. Feel free to do that anytime you'd like. As a seller, you're gathering information about the home you're about to list. You may have lived in this home a year, 10 years, 50 years. There may be things about the home that you're well aware of, and there may be things about the home that you are not aware of. So you can gather information and have an understanding of what your house is like before you put it on the market. And then you can talk to your agent and you can decide, I want to fix these things or I want to leave these things.
No, I'm not going to do that.
There are some things you might want to fix to make it more appealing to buyers and maybe get more money for you in a sale. And there are some things that are not going to be worth your time and effort and you're just going to leave them as they are. Having a pre-listing home inspection is appealing to buyers as well, because they can get information for free for them. They don't have to pay an inspector. They can look at the report and say, is this important to me or is it not important to me? And for you, the seller, it cuts down, if not entirely, significantly on the second negotiation. What is the second negotiation? The first negotiation is getting a contract accepted. You're selling your home. You might have 1, 2, 5 offers. You pick one. You go under contract. Everyone signs it. Great. We negotiated price and terms, closing date, closing costs, all that kind of stuff. We agreed. We signed off on it. We're solid.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Then they do an inspection. There isn't a pre-listing inspection, but they do their own inspection and they come up with a list of things and they come back to you and say,
I want this. I want this.
Yeah, I want this. The GFCI outlet is not in where it should be in. This window is a little tight. There's a little crack in the door here. There's delamination on the shingles. I'd like a $5,000 price reduction. Now we're back into a negotiation phase. Man, I'm having trouble saying negotiation today. Now we're back in a negotiation phase, and it's possible that more money's coming out of your pocket. If I list your home, I'm paying for home inspection. It's possible that we skip all of this and it doesn't cost you anything. Now, I've done this on both sides as a listing agent and a buyer's agent. And I have closed deals where people have purchased a home without having their own inspection done as a buyer. They went with the pre-listing inspection. Sometimes there is a little negotiation. Hey, we see what items you listed here. We'd like some help in closing cost. Sometimes there's no negotiation on items. We just say, look, this is the price we're willing to pay because we've seen the home and we see the inspection report. As a listing agent, what I tell prospective buyer's agents is this. Just did this recently. Agent said, are you selling the home as is? Meaning your client's not going to fix anything, not going to address anything. And I said, absolutely not. This is not an as-is sale. What we don't want to happen is we come to terms on that first negotiation. We have a price, we have terms, we have everything we agree on, and then you come back to us and ask for a reduction based on something that's already in this report. You already know it because you have the pre-listing report. Don't come back and ask for that.
That's a good point.
If your client wants to do their own inspection and they find an item is worse than maybe we anticipated, or they find a new item that needs to be addressed, then we're happy to discuss that. So it can be very helpful on the seller side and the buyer side if you're doing a pre-listing inspection when you're selling your home. When might you pass on doing a home inspection? I don't think this is an exhaustive list necessarily, but let me just tell you. Type of home you're buying, your experience, the amount of money you have, you are going to gut the place, or you already have a pre-listing inspection that you're okay with. Let's begin at type of home. Maybe you're buying a townhouse or a condo, and within that HOA of that residence, the roof is covered, exterior maintenance is covered. There are big ticket items that you don't have to worry about. In that case, you might say, I know I can check the HVAC, I can see the plumbing. I'm not really concerned about leaks. It doesn't look like there's been any drips or drops anywhere. I'm okay with going ahead and not doing a home inspection. This kind of falls into number 2, your experience. If you are an experienced contractor, construction type, builder, you can walk through a house and probably see as much as a home inspector can see. So you may have the experience to walk through and see things and not be concerned about the things that you can't see, test things that you're able to test, and be comfortable. And number 3, money. If you have money, if you have disposable income, if you're not scraping by and pinching pennies to make this home work, it's very possible you forego a home inspection because it's really, really appealing to sellers to have a buyer write a contract and say, I'm not going to do an inspection. So if you have the money to pay for a new HVAC, or you have the money to pay for a new roof, and you want to get your offer in there at a price that's acceptable to you, and you figure in all the things that you might have to pay, and you can get your offer accepted that way, maybe you don't have a home inspection done. 4, you're going to gut the place. If it's a flip, if it's a, buy it, renovate it, rip all the walls out, take all the HVAC out, you're going to put new systems in, you're going to put a new roof on. You can walk around, see if there's water down in the basement, see if you smell anything. And maybe that combined with money, combined with experience, you say, look, I'm going to tear this whole thing apart. I don't care about an inspection. Again, it's appealing to the seller, and it may be something you consider. Or finally, that pre-listing inspection. You already have one to look at that the seller has done for you. In that case, you may forego doing an inspection yourself. How do you find an inspector? Nope, not that kind of inspector. I think the first place to start is to ask your real estate agent. Ask who you're working with. Hey, who might you suggest as a home inspector? Now, I am a little bit weird about some things, and if I tell you that I recommend or I suggest someone, I probably made a mistake because I really like to say, here are some options. There are reasons why I like to use the word options. Really, the bottom line is I don't want you to feel like I am telling you what to do.
Listen to me, listen to me.
I don't want you to feel like JD told me this person. I do want to be a guide for you. I do want to be helpful to you. And I've seen people on social media say if your realtor's not telling you who to use as a closing office, who to use as an inspector, who to use as whatever, they're not doing their job. I disagree. I want to give you options of people that I trust. Now, every home inspector that I would give you, every settlement agent that I would give you, I have either used personally or my clients have used, and I would use them again in the future. If there's any question about their integrity, their competency, I wouldn't put them on my options list. That's the first way you can do it, is talk to your real estate agent. Another way to do it is jump on Google. Check out Google. Check out those reviews. See their website, see what services they offer, check their prices, see what they're charging, see what kind of reviews they're getting, and give them a call. Talk to them on the phone. See if you get a good feel for them. Ask them about how they do roof inspections, how they do foundation inspections, what's their experience, what's their background if you can't find that stuff on the website. They should absolutely be willing to talk to you on the phone and walk through the process and explain what they do and how they do it, why they do it. And if you're not comfortable with them, then move on to someone else. Another option you have, instead of a home inspector that you might find on Google or you might get from your realtor, is if you have some experience yourself and you're comfortable not doing a full home inspection, you might want to contact an HVAC person or a roof person or a foundation person if there's a question about one of those areas specifically. Let's say we go into a house and we're like, man, this HVAC looks kind of old. Well, you don't necessarily have to have a home inspector come. A home inspector is definitely going to do the kind of cursory inspection of the HVAC. They're going to test the return, the vents, they're going to check the temperature differential. They're going to do that. But if there's any question about, I'm not sure if it's working quite right, they're going to say, I suggest you call an HVAC person. And some HVAC people and some roof people will come out free of charge to do their own analysis on those areas or those systems. So that's an option you have maybe instead of getting a home inspection. But of course, you could do both. Again, if you want to feel good, if you want all the components to be checked, you can hire that home inspector. HVAC person's not going to turn the stove on and run the stove or turn the heating elements on the oven. They're not going to run the dishwasher. They're not going to check certain water things. So different people do different things, but certainly check with your agent, check with Mr. Google or Mrs. Google, I don't know, and get a good feel of what you want to do as far as a home inspection. Now, I know I've given you quite a bit to think about.
I'm thinking.
But do remember, whenever you hear those modifiers, always, never, be careful, and do remember, there's my name and number. If you want to reach out to me, give me a call. If you're moving in a month, 6 months, a year, doesn't matter. We can talk about the process and what it's like and what it would be like to work together. And until I hear from you, I will see you on the next video. In Lynchburg, Virginia, the general cost of a home inspection to start is going to be around, in Lynchburg, Virginia, the general home, stop beeping already. It's really, really appealing to buyers for having to have someone. It's really, really appealing to buyers. No. I want to give you options. Oh my goodness.